More and more often, the United States has been raising the topic of supplying the legendary F-16 to Ukraine. And finally, we're seeing some movement in that direction. The Netherlands, in cooperation with America, are fully prepared to transfer F-16s into the hands of the Ukrainian defenders.
The F-16 Fighting Falcon is a lightweight multi-role fighter that is highly maneuverable in air-to-air combat and air-to-ground attack.
This is undoubtedly an exciting development that could have a huge impact on the war, because the power of the F-16 has been proven time and time again over the years. It's no wonder that this plane has been protecting the President of the United States since its inception. Now it'll protect the Ukrainian people. While Ukraine only has old MiGs in its aviation fleet, this powerful addition will fundamentally change the situation. The F-16 Fighting Falcon will fill the country's need for an advanced fighter jet capable of destroying both enemy aircraft and ground equipment. By combining the advantages of having a fighter and heavy equipment on the ground, Ukrainians will be able to quickly shatter the enemy's defense line and push it back beyond the border. But they'll have to be well prepared to do so. There are several physiological factors that could initially hinder pilots from operating the F-16 aircraft. Before joining the squadron and before each flight, a newly qualified pilot will have to undergo health inspections that include their heart, hearing, vision, and reflexes. All of this will save the lives of both the pilot and the aircraft. Flying an F-16 at top speed can significantly impact the health of an ordinary person. During such intense bursts, the pilot experiences a strain 10 times greater than the force of gravity. If the person isn't properly prepared for such a load, it could be a painful or even deadly experience. Blurry vision, dizziness, internal organ damage, and complete loss of consciousness are what awaits an unprepared pilot. That's why Ukrainian fighters were sent for training in the United States several months ago, where they got to experience the joys of flying an F-16 themselves. But the journey doesn't end there. Before every flight, this fighter undergoes special preparation. The team checks all of the aircraft systems for defects and malfunctions. They check the fuel systems, engines, weapons, and other components of the aircraft to make sure that it's ready for combat. Meanwhile, the pilot runs through the reconnaissance data and plans his flight, selects the optimal route, prepares an evacuation plan, and establishes communication with other aircraft and the command post.
It's the best flying aircraft I've had the opportunity to fly.
And there's a good reason for all of this. The Fighting Falcon is truly a powerful weapon that can turn the tide of the war. Plus, it's also the #1 adversary of Russian MiGs. The F-16 has a flight speed of 1,300 miles per hour with a range of 2,600 miles. It can fly across the entire width of Ukraine 3 times in just 2 hours.
This is the F-110 GE engine found in the F-16 Flying Falcon.
The MiG, in turn, has about the same speed, but only a third the operational range. That's disastrous. The American plane's radar can also cover 9 more square miles than the Russian can, and where there's information, there's an advantage. It's a similar situation when it comes to weaponry. The MiG has weak, unguided bombs with a small blast radius, while the F-16 carries versatile guided bombs that can destroy enemy equipment or bunkers on the battlefield. To top it off, the F-16 is also quite economical. The latest versions only cost about $8,000 per flight hour, while most other fighters of similar caliber cost twice as much. Moreover, the Falcon can also perform nearly any aerial task, from regular combat to high-precision bombing.
It was conceived of as a lightweight, low-cost fighter primarily for air-to-air, but it evolved to possess air-to-air and air-to-ground, a true multi-role fighter.
Well, what can we say? This Steelhawk has even taken part in a space program. In 2004, NASA used it as an experimental platform for the space agency. It was also used for a program that studied the shock waves created by aircraft. The Fighting Falcon is quite an interesting aircraft in that it has over 10 main variants and just as many local versions. It's unclear which version Ukraine will receive, but we hope it's the latest F-16V armed with self-guided anti-tank shells, air-to-air missiles, and a radar suppression system. Basically, a machine for destroying anything, anywhere.
The success of the mission brings attention to the F-16's flawless maneuvering and fly-by-wire controls. And this is only the beginning of the Fighting Falcon's rise to glory.
However, Russia has an answer for such a threat. For example, the Su-35, a super maneuverable multi-purpose fighter with thrust vector control. It was developed relatively recently, in 2008, so it's an order of magnitude younger than the American jet. This fighter is capable of inflicting a preemptive strike on aerial opponents, including stealthy ones, which the F-16 happens to be.
Because of stealth, it's designed really to carry the weapons internally.
In terms of the variety and functionality of its weapons, the Su-35 is actually on par with most modern fighters. It can engage in air, sea, and land combat with its arsenal of air-to-air missiles, guided munitions, and anti-ship bombs. However, the Sukhoi is less maneuverable and can't fly as far as the F-16. Its main disadvantage is that it has no way of countering air defense systems and can't suppress radars. It's dangerous for the fighter to enter Ukrainian airspace because it would quickly be shot down by a NASAMS missile covering the F-16. The Russian fighter could get lucky and be able to engage in a dogfight, but then the American would simply ram it and emerge from the clash victorious. That really did happen. In 2003, the fighter was tested in a collision with another aircraft. Using a remote control, developers were able to perform a ramming maneuver, and the Fighting Falcon suffered no major damage. What's more, the first aircraft ever to be shot down by an F-16 was an Iraqi Su-24 purchased from Russia. More proof of the superiority of American technology.
Max, the F-16 was a response to the cost and complexity of the F-15.
America's fighter also has a strike range of 12 miles longer than the Russians, thanks to its supersonic homing missiles. It's unlikely that the MiG would even be able to dodge such a thing, but the enemy has other equipment capable of fighting back against the legendary F-16. For example, the Buck M1 air defense system. This complex provides everything necessary to defend airspace, but even this monster cannot win. The top speed at which it can attack a target is 1,200 miles per hour. Sure, that'll catch most planes, but it's no problem for our supersonic hero. It can simply fly out of radar range or destroy the complex with a single strike. The only thing Russia's anti-aircraft gun can boast of is its powerful warhead. A hit from one of these missiles is a death sentence. Nevertheless, the Buck M1 can't win in a fair fight because of its slow speed and reaction time, which is clearly more important in defense than combat power.
And it has a significant amount of weapons carrying and payload capability.
When the F-16 does finally show up in Ukraine, it'll be a big step towards victory. So we hope that the United States can continue to help. Before we go, here's an interesting fact. The F-16 will be able to operate underwater. In 1992, the plane's creators, General Dynamics, conducted research to test the aircraft in a thermal pool. That means that the fighter will be able to operate underwater and rise to the surface to perform different tasks. That sounds amazing, of course, but it's still hard to imagine. So let me know in the comments if you think it's even possible. I'd be tremendously grateful if you'd subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell too. See you soon, everyone.